It's not easy being a healthcare marketer right now, especially if you work in a provider organization. It is vital that we as marketers are able to tie what we do back to a financial ROI for the organizations that we work for. But in a provider organization, that is sometimes not very easy. Well, I'm about to sit down with a guest who has done this many, many times, and the impact that she is able to demonstrate really helps solidify marketing's value and marketing's importance to that organization. And bonus, it helps get you on side with the CFO and the operations folks. Hello and welcome to Sway Health, where we explore the latest insights and interesting stories from the brightest minds in healthcare marketing. I'm Colin Hung, and joining me on the program today is Linda MacCracken. She is going to be telling us a lot about the work that she has done with healthcare organizations to really improve their bottom line through better marketing. Let's get to it. Linda, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Colin. It's great to be here. I'm so impressed with Sway and the breadth of materials that you cover in all your conversations, and you're everywhere all over the country. So thank you for sharing the insights and comments as you do.
Well, thank you for saying that, Linda. I joke with people when I meet them and I tell them I'm a professional conference goer because that's what it feels like in the spring and fall.
Well, there's a lot of conferences out there because there's especially in healthcare marketing, it's such a lonely group. It's kind of like in The Wizard of Oz when the great Oz says, I'm going to go meet with other wizards. But these conferences are the places where marketing strategy and a variety of leaders who feel like they are part of the minority but capture such a crucial voice of the market get together. And you really have a great way of putting us all together and making us feel like yes, we can, and celebrating all the wins. So thank you for what you do.
It is, surprisingly a very lonely, or it can feel like a very lonely role, right? Marketing. And there are a lot of solo marketers out there, even at healthcare organizations. So it's nice when you're able to bring a community together and realize, oh, like I do have peers and they all are experiencing the same challenges that I am. I'm not unique and alone. So that's why it's so fun to go to those conferences and connect with people like you and I did recently, which is why we're here on this program. So
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of you making sure that you capture all the insights and really can't wait to process all of them because of what you post that's so innovative.
excellent. Well, Linda, for the benefit of our audience and our viewers, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, and your organization?
Sure. So I'm Linda MacCracken, and I've been in healthcare marketing and strategy for my entire career in wonderful different experiences. I've been chief marketing officer at health systems. I've helped chief marketing officers. I've worked on, and my focus has always been who do we serve, what do they want, and how do we do it? And lately it's moved to how much. In my experience, I've worked with health organizations, but I'm even more excited that I've been able to work with IBM Watson as a high performing analytics group. I've had an 8-year run at Accenture, which is fantastic. I think my crowning excitement that gets me up every day and makes me think what's next is that I still have a Harvard appointment teaching marketing to physician executives. And my about myself is they say, who's the customer? What do they need? And how do we deliver it? And mostly I do that in my role as faculty at Harvard. I do that as the principal of Ignite Market Advantage, my practice. And I work with health and service teams. And I also work with companies that are trying to serve health and service teams so that they can go out and scale some of these innovations that I'm bringing up.
Well, that's a great segue because when you and I connected at the conference we were at recently, which by the way was HMPS 24 in Las Vegas, a great conference put on by Judy and company. I was fascinated by the work you were describing and the results that your clients were able to achieve. And I think it goes to what you said at the start there around the how much. You're really helping people kind of uncover the how much part. Can you describe what you mean by how much, and then maybe give us a little bit of information about the work you actually do with your clients?
Absolutely. So on an overall basis, if we know who the customer segments are, and everybody knows about segments, but they may not know that it's got to be quantitatively mapped. Like, do we have 80% digital adoption or do we only have 20% digital adoption? Because if we understand markets and how they move, and are we talking about 60% people who don't have kids versus 20% who don't have kids, then we shouldn't be focusing on a family-oriented set of services. I am convinced and have had a number of cases that we talked about. If you know who, then you can design the what. And with marketing and operations, the partnership together, which is where the clinicians come in, access and service line folks come in, it's the what kinds of services should we offer, where should we prioritize our investment, and then how much can it give us? I'm pretty avid about making sure that we know how much could we possibly achieve. And I'm, in a non-healthcare basis, let's just go with Starbucks. Starbucks got started in urban areas where there were a set number of households that had over $150,000 income, because who else could afford a $4, $6, $8 cup of coffee? When Pillsbury went to Canada and wanted to break into the mostly scratch baking market, they had to find out when do they need that roll-up dough. And they found a tiny little market segment and got a 20% sales boost from a different kind of campaign. I think we were talking and I was saying, hey, I'm really excited because when we say who, what, and how, for a health system that said, hey, we're going to go to the surrounding areas, but we're not entirely sure of who we serve and what they need, doing a profile of who, what, and how led to a how much of, hey, if we can go over 3 custom service types, we can potentially get at just 10%, we can get about $40 million of revenue. So the opportunity gets shaped by how much money might we be able to pull through if we did it right for only a fraction of that population. So that's one health organization's journey into, let's go into our adjacent market and recognize who's there, what do they need. Another health system that actually said, hey, we know that we want to have more Medicare Advantage enrollment, said we want to have more Medicare Advantage enrollment. It's in the terms they had, it was the most profitable business. Once we recognized who was there, there were like 8 segments. And so then we said, wait a minute, the fastest match is with 2 of them. Then we were able to say, let's double down and create the best experience for those segments. There's no rejection, there's no skimming. It's just a deepened experience in sales, marketing, and service. Then within 1 year, they went from flat enrollment to 7%. And over the following 4 years, it was 7, 10, 9, and 20. But who's counting? It's psychic income that people come together. But when we know who we're serving and we do a great job on what they have, then we can definitely get it. There's a products company that said, hey, how come we need more money and we have too many people who don't continue to buy our product? Why is that? So digging a little deeper, there was a financial transparency problem. Okay, well, if they don't understand what they're paying before they start buying, then they're going to be fast switchers. And we know, and I think you and I talked about this, that when we start seeing people shop on price, 50% of them are going to leave. So with this medical products company, we found $20 million of opportunity, obviously a national brand, $20 million of opportunity by showing some financial advantages. And it was a combination of revenue and cost savings.
So, Linda, lots to unpack in both of those answers. It sounds like you're really marrying hard data and facts about the markets that people are pursuing and marrying that with the capacity and the potential for revenue, which I now understand that seems to be the missing piece. We often do the comparison of, well, can I serve these people and are they being underserved? But we actually don't do the final analysis of, is this actually going to move the needle in terms of revenue? Is that the same light bulb moment that you're experiencing with your clients?
Well, I think you've actually put it even better, Colin. So really, thank you. And yes, it's the segments crafted based on what we're trying to do, and the segments, and then the delivery, and then the revenue opportunity. At HMPS, we, in my session, Reinventing Primary Care, one of the big ahas was that 77% to 92% of every generation has a primary care provider. And yet, you probably know that the physician shortage is really making a long wait. Nationally, that's 28 days. So, where are the people going? Because they're definitely going somewhere. So, the value of when we started looking at some of the research, the value of having someone attached to a health system for a primary care provider, and it could be sick care, it could be digital care, it could be prescription renewal, and then just the annual physical. There is a whole host of services that an organization can get to go ahead and be primary in the lives of their patients.
So I have to ask Linda, where do people get all the data from? I mean, it sounds very easy to say, okay, these are the markets we serve, but where does this data come from?
Oh, that's a great point. Well, there is a way of architecting any of the many segmentation systems out there, but it depends on the use. So if for the health client that said, hey, I've got to figure out my primary care system. So we said, all right, let's look at what is the, and I pulled in clinicians to do validating assumptions. And so we did groupings of, again, consistent segments. And there's a variety of ones that are out on the commercial market, but they get grouped based on the analysis of who are we serving so far. Then healthcare utilization stats, that's actually data that is easily purchased that can be applied. When it comes to, I'm going to guess you're wondering about the value targeting and the money, right? Hey, how'd you come up with that 20 million? And how'd you come up with the 40 million? So there's a fair amount of research. I have a team and we do a fair amount of research on, okay, what's the value of primary care, specialty care, primary episode. And we just went and redid some of that research. But what's even better is let's talk to finance. Let's talk to finance to make sure that we've got the same shared assumptions. So doing a value case with one health system that had a direct employer contract and marketing was engineering the growth part of it, they said, we need to make sure we have a value case. So what I was able to do with my team is put together if we can grow our enrollment in this contract by 1%, we can get $1 million of profit on the bottom line. And that was with partnering with the finance team. So once we go into organizations and we just make sure that there's a cross-functional team, we can make sure we've got the right assumptions to put into the analytic models.
And is there a strong belief in those numbers? I mean, let's be honest, like sometimes when marketing presents numbers, they can be a little bit of skepticism associated with it. In your experience, Linda, when you present these types of numbers, is there a really good grounding? Do executives go, yeah, okay, I believe this? Or is there some convincing that has to happen?
No, I'm actually in the processes and the work that I do with clients, I say, change my assumptions. Let's do this together. First, on the assumptions, when you give me your information and let's look at it together. So one, it's a highly collaborative process. Two, any of the results are less than 30%. What if we can get 5% of the market? What if we can get 5% of the market within 3 years? So stretch it. So when I talk about this, the growth rate was where with the Medicare Advantage, it would have been great if we'd scored 3% or 4%. So within 6 months, we had 7. So when we got to 20%, okay, let's just throw a party. But it was the numbers out of my estimation or my team's estimation are small. They're very small. What if we just get a fraction? What if we have a leakage issue and we can just get 5% leakage reduction? And so then even finance sits and goes, yes, you're right. But if we think about, hey, can we possibly retain the value of cancer? Can we retain the value of a joint replacement from all those weekend warriors? Then we are talking about some pretty big dollars. And if we're talking about multi-hospital systems and multiple physician groups, that's where the math starts getting bigger. So I have not had trouble with acceptance on it. When I said, hey, there was $1 million, that story ended up in a $10 million margin contribution in 2 years. I never would have projected, hey, we can get 10 points. But yay, they did it because they were so focused on making sure there was the right experience for the right high volume customer types.
So Linda, other than calling you and getting you involved, is there anything that an organization can do on their own to make improvements in those areas that we've been talking about?
No, I love your question. I think there's so many smart people in organizations. They could definitely do it themselves if they would be willing to double down on who, what, and how much. And when I say who, we can't be all things to all people. So one health system said, hey, we don't have bricks and mortar. We know that we have population coming from a market. We want to do digital health. How can we do it? We came up with 3 flavors, but the segments that weren't going to be interested in this were not those served in this initiative. So don't try to be all things to everybody, but know who, what, how, and how much, and work cross-functionally with finance. They are generally thrilled to team up with marketing and operations. Physicians are thrilled when there's data and equations and numbers. And the passion for let's be truly customer centric makes this a very exciting time for people to do it themselves.
I like how you put that there because I think you're absolutely right. When a CFO sees the marketing person coming and they're not asking for more budget, that's always a good
Right.
thing. And so when you're able to go to them and say, would like your help to be more targeted,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be music to the CFO's ears.
Yes, I also always like when the folks that I like to work with, I like to say, go in and say, hey, I think I've helped you get, I think I've helped you get 20% of the market at least. And here's how I was thinking about it. Can we work on it together? So even going in with a back of the napkin is another way for the finance person to go, oh, you're speaking my language. And I find finance or somebody in the finance department joyful about it. So finding the champion is really helpful.
Well, Linda, you've shared a ton of great information with us today. Where can people go to connect with you and get more information about you?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm on LinkedIn. I go through my Harvard email, and that's the best way to find me. And I would love to have a conversation. Just how are you doing? What do you think of it? And just even brainstorm because nobody's in this alone.
Linda, really appreciate the time you gave us today and really appreciate all the information you shared. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you.
Hey, I really want to thank Linda for coming on camera and being on the program today. The information she shared was just amazing. I really found it insightful about the tie that she is making between marketing, operations, and now finance, and really looking at incorporating the impact, the financial impact that the marketing program can have on the organization as part of the decision-making process. Sounds so logical, but it sounds like from Linda's experience and from the impact that she's having that that doesn't happen often enough at healthcare organizations. And hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, please like and subscribe. Also, head on over to Swaay Health, that's Sway with 2 A's, .health, where you'll find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode.